Welcome to Impact OC, the only program showcasing the people and organizations shaping Orange County. With your host, Don Camber.
Hello, live from the OC Talk radio studios at UCI's Beal Applied Innovation Center. I'm OC Talk Radio Public Affairs Director Don Camber with another great guest impacting our community in a positive way. Today, I welcome J.F. Shea Therapeutic Writing Center Chief Executive Officer Dana Butler-Moburg. The Shea Center is internationally recognized for its excellence in therapeutic programs and has become one of the top equine assisted services centers in the world. Thank you, Dana, for being on Impact OC.
It's a pleasure to be here, Dawn. Thanks for having me.
Dana, please explain how your 24 therapy horses improve the lives of people with disabilities.
You know, it may seem counterintuitive, but the horse moves the human body just like it's walking. So when you sit on the back of a horse, your body is moving as if it's actually walking on its own. So what we do is we use that motion, and we have physical, occupational, and speech therapy professionals, and we design programs and therapy activities utilizing the motion of the horse. And what it does is it helps our clients learn to walk, learn to talk, learn to give their parents that first hug or interaction with their friends. It's a marvelous way to approach physical, occupational, and speech therapy.
Talk about the disabilities they have and some of the therapies that are used.
You know, we are more inclusive than exclusive. So we served 75 different disabilities at the Shea Center in 2020. Our number one disability that we address is persons with autism, and then cerebral palsy, genetic disorders, spina bifida, and then we also are working with people who have cognitive and physical disabilities. But the thing that we really think about is that we look at you and see what is your ability versus your disability. And we're going to help you be functioning at the most normal, inclusive, able life that you possibly can. We'll set it up for you at the Shea Center with the therapies and the services that we have, and then it will evolve into something that helps you in your everyday life.
Give us an example with someone who has autism.
So people with autism, their brains are they're wired differently. And some of these, so I'm thinking of a child who craves lots of movement, and he likes lots and lots of input. And this little boy comes to us, and he's a person with autism, but he's also ADHD. So he's got really lots of craving he likes to move around. And you see these kids sometimes are running around a lot. Their bodies are craving that motion and movement. What the horse does is it helps these kids calm. It helps them focus. Just because a person has autism doesn't mean they don't have above average intelligence. It's just we have to help him focus and access that. So we put him on the horse that gives him a lot of input, a lot more choppy movement. And then we're going to work on things like strength and balance and coordination, but we're also going to work on maybe language skills, socialization, things that will help this child leave Shea and go be successful in the classroom. So some of our autistic kids learn to start talking at Shea. Some of them learn to start interacting with their friends and their parents. And some of these kids actually find their own voice, their own gifts. You're always going to be a person with autism. How do you make that work for you? We're going to help you figure that out.
And when they figure it out, then in a sense, they can be a little independent.
Absolutely. All you want for your kids or for yourself, because if you're an adult who has a stroke and is now differently abled, all we want is for that independent life, that quality of life, some place for you to be your very, very best. And some of our clients stay with us 6 to 7 years on average. Some have been with us a long time. We're 44 years old. And then some stay with us until they've gotten past kind of the initial issues that they came to see us for, and then they're off doing their own thing in their own lives.
Talk about the relationship between the horse and the client.
So we have 24 horses on our 8-acre property in San Juan Capistrano, and we're going to match you with the right horse for what you need. And inevitably, these horses become confidants and friends for our riders. They become a part of their family, their world. And so that marvelous relationship that you get to have with an animal is amplified at Shea because there's so much extra good coming from their experiences with us. So these horses get featured in family Christmas photos. They get featured in somebody's graduation picture because while it's not their horse per se, frankly, they don't have to pay the bills. That's the best kind of horse to have. It's their horse in their heart and in their soul. And we really want to support that.
Talk about the activities they do with the horses other than the therapeutic ones, because also taking care of a horse is also part of the role of being socialized.
So it just depends on what your program is at Shea. Some of our clients may not be capable of what we would call barn chores, but everything we do at this unique equestrian facility, there's some relevance, and we design for some of our clients their regular lives of get themselves ready, plan their day, and the same things that you would expect a kid to get who gets to spend their time at a barn, it all transfers over to your everyday life. And that's true for our clients as well. So we design these programs so that these young people can actually have this ownership. And it's just like any kid, you go to any barn and you're going to see these kids and they have to care for their horses, and it teaches them to be responsible. It teaches them to be respectful. It teaches them to value and care for the items that go with the horse. All of that is part of what we do. Our clients may do it, but even more importantly is we have more than 400 volunteers every year. And one of the very critical things they do, in addition to client safety, which is the first thing, the other thing they do is they help us care for these marvelous animals. So wherever we go, we are always teaching, always sharing.
Talk about the equine assisted programs in terms of what they do on a horse. It's not just get on the horse and go giddy up. There's ways that they are being assisted in terms of physical on the horse.
So think of it like this. There's a continuum of services that you might need. And if you are a person who uses a wheelchair and you need a lot of assistance getting on and off the horse, we're going to match you with the right horse, the right professional, and the right scenario to do activities with us that help you get those skills, those things you want to accomplish. And then think of it this way at another level. We have a huge military program, and it's for combat veterans with PTSD. And that program has grown over double during COVID. And the isolation that these men and women have experienced has been compounded by the pandemic. So they come to Shea and they're assigned a horse, and the activities that they do with their therapist are designed to help them cope with whatever skills they're working on. Therapists might say, okay, I want to work on trust, and I want to work on trust as it relates to working in a team. So as a riding professional, we're going to design activities with the horses that will give the group things to talk about that are on topic for those issues. So maybe it's their riding as a pair, as a team, having to accomplish a certain task. And then that gives wonderful fodder for the therapy professional, the mental health professional, to help them move and accomplish those goals. It's this big continuum. We have little teeny tiny people at 2 years old who are trying to build strength. The earlier we can get a child, the better. And then we have people who may have had something happen to them. If they're a stroke survivor, a brain injury survivor, a cancer survivor, we've worked with a really broad range of things that have impacted people and then turned them so that they become an asset for them and they can learn how to work in their world.
Explain when they're on the horse. Many times they're not riding a horse with, they're facing the back of a horse. Many times they're backwards on a horse. Explain that.
So in this wonderful world that is the movement of the horse, I may put a child sitting backwards on the horse because that position makes them sit up tall or makes them sit up straighter. If you're sitting sideways on the horse, it might be because we're working on a different set of balance muscles, your oblique muscles. If you're standing on the horse, think of it this way. If you're a kid who uses a wheelchair all the time and you're always looking up at the world, if I put you on top of the horse and you're standing there getting all these balance interactions with the horse, and so the technical stuff is there's 3,000 steps in a 30-minute session in our therapy world. You don't care about that. You just care that you're having a great time, but it's also challenging all of your balance reactions, making you stronger, making you more able. You'll see us doing all kinds of things that just look, frankly, like a lot of fun, but in fact, they're all based in a very methodical and science-based approach to helping people be their very best.
And they get to feel their muscles through the muscles of the horse.
Among many other things. That's exactly right. They'll feel the muscles, they'll feel the movement of the horse. It stimulates an awful lot for them. We don't realize how much we miss when we are not moving. We're designed to keep moving. And so children, when they may have something that keeps them from moving as little people, you've got to get that movement in, because proper crawling and doing all of those things teaches language and math. It stimulates different parts of the brain. So we have to help these kids have these experiences. And if their bodies are in a state where they need a little extra help, or they haven't been able to do those things yet, we're going to help you try and get that.
How do you get connected with these clients?
Most of our clients are referred to the Shea Center by referral, peer referral. And then the second is physicians. We get a lot of physicians who refer our services. And especially of late, we're treating a lot of kids who are pediatric cancer survivors and or active patients, because the Shea Center is a very safe place for people who are immunocompromised, because largely the majority of our activities are done outside. We have a beautiful Klein Family Education and Therapy building where we can take what we've just done outside and go inside, and then actually have activities that they'll do inside that help them become more able as they go out.
I want you to give us some reactions of children when they're on the horse.
Well, I think one of my very favorite was the first time one of our little kids had gotten up on a horse. He'd never spoken a word in his life. And he looked at his mama and he looked at his dad, and he just looked at them and he said, "Yellow." And he was delighted. The parents were delighted. It was really quite an extraordinary moment.
What are the costs of this program?
They vary based on somebody's ability to pay. We have a sliding scale at the Shea Center, and they're very affordable. You are getting a medical service when you're working with our PT, OT, or speech professionals, but it's very affordable, and we make sure that every single person who comes to Shea can have access to the services and is not limited by financial needs.
And you have people of all ages that get services?
Our youngest client is 2, and our oldest client is about 100 years old. I say about because during this time of COVID, she's been not able to come to Shea, but she was actively coming to Shea up until her 100th birthday.
I would imagine parents are ecstatic when their children excel in this program.
Well, absolutely, because if you think about it, who wouldn't want their kid to succeed? And when you're a parent of a differently abled child, what's even more exacerbating is that you just don't know what options you have for your kids. So the Shea Center becomes, for other kids, what soccer is, or the soccer banquet, or ballet, or all the other sports that kids do. We provided about 15,000 hours of service in 2019. In 2020, it went down a little bit just because of COVID, but what we focus on is making sure that the whole family benefits from the work that we do.
And you have fundraising activities.
We do. We are a nonprofit organization, and so we don't receive much in the way of government money. We have 2 cities who are very kind and give us grants, but otherwise we raise all of our funds every year in real time, and less than 15% of our budget comes from fees that people pay us. It's our generous partners and donors who help keep the services alive and vital for our clients.
What kind of events do you have?
We've got a couple of different major events that the community comes to and really enjoys. We have our barbecue in the fall, and that's coming up on September 18 at the Shea Center. And we just had our gala, which was at Montage Laguna Beach, and it was a wonderful success. And we were so grateful to be able to gather again and celebrate all the wonderful things that our friends help us accomplish for our clients.
How can people connect with your organization?
SheaCenter.org, SHEA Center.org. And everything you want is there on the website, but otherwise just call us, and we're happy to answer the phone and happy to help you find how we can help you.
Thank you, JF Shea Therapeutic Writing Center Chief Executive Officer Director Dana Butler-Moburg for being on Impact OC. And I thank everyone for tuning in. I'm OC Talk Radio Public Affairs Director Dawn Camber. Have an impactful day.
You've been listening to Impact OC, the only program showcasing the people and organizations shaping our community. Right here on Orange County's only community radio station, OC Talk Radio.